That do come under the Has No Act, Mr Chair.
I call the Honourable Minister Peter Dunn.
Mr Chairman, I acknowledge the member who's just resumed his seat. I'm tempted to say his explanation is far too charitable of what has actually happened. He tried to imply a degree of rationality in the processes that have led to this change. In fact, what we're doing is correcting a cock-up. Let's put it as bluntly as that. When the Has No Act was passed, there was a change made that had the effect of meaning that, in effect, a substance designated as a hazardous substance under the Has No legislation could thenceforth not be designated as a restricted substance under the Misuse of Drugs Act. And while there were some arguments advanced at the time that things should be dealt with under their own particular bits of legislation, and I've been back and had a look at the Health Committee's report from 2005, and it had in mind things like ordinary commercial or household products that are also psychoactive, such as butane gas, from being further brought under the control of the restricted substances framework. What it overlooked, of course, was that the consequence of being very specific in that area was to effectively make the restricted substances regime unworkable. And so we had a situation where we've had the capacity to designate substances as restricted substances for some time, but until this amendment has passed, it was actually not going to be possible to do so given the almost countervailing provisions of the Has No Act. So while I appreciate the very lucid explanation given by the member who spoke earlier and his charity in trying to apply some logic to the position that had developed, I think it's fair to say that this is a technical amendment clearing up a mistake that was made way back in 2005, which was not actually seen at that time as being significant because the rationale was actually about a different category of products. It was only when we started to look at a range of substances like the chronics of this world, for instance, that we realised that there was actually a problem, and that needs to be corrected. That's what this amendment does. It's very straightforward, and as I say, I don't think it need delay the House for any great period of time, but I do appreciate and acknowledge the member's very kind summary of the situation when he could have been far more vicious.
The question is, I call the Honourable Member Chris